Your brain is basically wired to break your New Year's resolutions. That is not an excuse, it is a neurological fact. Every year, millions of people set ambitious goals, riding a surge of January motivation only to watch it collapse by February. According to research by Richard Wiseman, only around 12% of people actually achieve their New Year's goals. That means nearly 9 out of 10 resolutions fail. And here is the uncomfortable truth. Most people do not fail in February. They fail much earlier, quietly, in the moments where effort feels heavier than expected and the old habits start whispering again. That moment is not a lack of character. It is a predictable brain response. Once you understand that, failure stops feeling personal and starts feeling solvable. So the question is not why you lack discipline. The real question is whether you have been using the wrong strategy. The self-improvement world has pushed the idea that success comes from trying harder, having more willpower, or forcing discipline. That advice is not just unhelpful. It works against how your brain actually functions. Lasting change does not come from fighting your brain. It comes from understanding it. In this video, I am going to walk you through 7 neuroscience-backed mindset hacks that work with your brain, not against it. These are not motivational slogans. They are practical systems that turn resistance into momentum and help change feel sustainable instead of exhausting. Welcome back to Mentor's Mindset. A new year, a cleaner slate, and a deeper focus on mindset work that actually supports you long after the motivation fades. Let's start by clearing up the biggest myth in personal development. Willpower is not unlimited. We talk about willpower as if it is a moral quality. If you fail, you simply were not strong enough. But neuroscience tells a different story. Willpower is a finite resource. The part of your brain responsible for self-control and decision-making is the prefrontal cortex. Think of it as your brain's CEO. Every time you resist temptation, force yourself to act, or suppress an impulse, that CEO is working hard. And like any executive, it gets tired. One major resolution already strains it, several at once almost guarantees burnout. When the prefrontal cortex is fatigued, your brain defaults to autopilot. That autopilot lives in the basal ganglia, where habits are stored. So when you try to change through sheer force, you are pitting an exhausted decision maker against deeply ingrained automatic behavior. That is not a fair fight. This is why people can be disciplined in one area of life and completely stuck in another. It is not inconsistency. It is load, stress, lack of sleep, emotional pressure, and constant decision making all tax the same system. By the time you ask yourself to change a habit, the brain may already be depleted. So if your plan assumes peak discipline every day, it is already broken. The goal is not more willpower. The goal is less need for it. Now let's start with hack 1. Leverage neuroplasticity with tiny steps. Your brain changes through repetition, not intensity. This process is called neuroplasticity. Every action you repeat strengthens a neural pathway. Habits are simply well-worn paths in the brain. Trying to go from 0 to extreme overnight is like trying to build a motorway through a forest in one afternoon. It does not work. Instead, build a trail, 1 push-up, a 5-minute walk, 1 page of reading. This is minimum viable effort, the smallest action that feels almost too easy to skip. What matters here is not the size of the action, it is the identity signal it sends. Every time you complete the smallest version of the habit, your brain updates its story about who you are. Someone who shows up, someone who follows through. That identity shift is what compounds. Consistency beats intensity every time. Repetition strengthens the pathway. Once the behavior becomes automatic, then you scale it. You're not chasing transformation, you are building wiring. Hack 2. Frame goals as approach, not avoidance. How you phrase a goal changes how your brain responds to it. Avoidance goals focus on what you want to stop. Approach goals focus on what you want to move toward. Stop eating junk food, create stress and resistance. Eat nourishing food to feel energized, activates motivation. Approach goals stimulate dopamine. the brain's reward chemical. Avoidance goals activate threat circuits and anxiety. If your goal feels heavy, negative, or guilt-driven, it is probably framed the wrong way. Flip it. Move toward what you want to become, not away from what you dislike. This is why shame-based motivation never lasts. Fear can push you to start, but it cannot carry you through repetition. If you want consistency, your goal needs to feel inviting, not punishing. Hack 3. Engineer your environment. With habit loops, around 40% of what you do each day is habit, not conscious choice. Every habit follows a loop: cue, routine, reward. If you want to change behavior, you must design the loop. Gym shoes by the bed create a visual cue. The workout is the routine. Coffee afterward becomes the reward. The most effective people do not rely on discipline. They design environments that make the right choice easier. This aligns with the principles popularized by James Clear. Make it obvious, make it easy, make it satisfying. Change the environment and behavior follows. Most people try to change behavior while leaving their environment untouched. That is like swimming upstream and blaming yourself for getting tired. When behavior feels hard, ask what is making it hard. Often the answer is not internal, it is structural. Hack 4. Stack your habits. Habit stacking works because it removes decision-making. Instead of starting from scratch, attach a new habit to one you already do. After I pour my morning coffee, I meditate for 1 minute. After I brush my teeth, I stretch for 2 minutes. After I get home from work, I change into gym clothes immediately. This works especially well in the morning and evening, when decision fatigue is highest. The fewer choices you ask your brain to make, the more energy you preserve for what matters. The existing habit becomes the trigger. The brain simply follows the sequence, no motivation required. If this is helping you see your habits differently, subscribe. Learning how your brain works is one of the most valuable skills you can build. Hack 5. Connect goals to core values. Motivation fades, values last. A goal like sleep more is weak on its own. A goal tied to being a present parent or a focused leader is powerful. When actions align with identity and values, the brain experiences deeper reward and meaning. If a goal does not connect to who you want to be, it will collapse under pressure. Ask yourself why it matters. If there is no clear answer, rethink the goal. Goals connected to values survive bad days. Goals connected only to outcomes do not. When effort feels heavy, values remind you why the weight is worth carrying. Hack 6. Use if-then plans. This is one of the most researched tools in behavior change. If-then planning creates automatic responses. If it is 9 a.m. and I sit at my desk, then I work on my most important task for 25 minutes. If it is lunchtime, then I eat the meal I prepared. Think of this as programming your future self. You are not relying on willpower. You are installing instructions, and the brain follows instructions far more reliably than intentions. You remove negotiation, the brain executes the script. Planning when and how you will act dramatically increases follow through. Hack 7. Focus on one thing with minimum effort. Multitasking destroys progress. Your brain cannot sustain multiple major changes at once. Pick one cornerstone habit that creates ripple effects. Sleep, movement, mindfulness, focus. Choose one. Reduce it to the smallest possible action. Repeat it daily. Once it becomes automatic, then and only then add something else. This is where most people overestimate their capacity and underestimate consistency. Small actions done daily change identity. Big actions done occasionally change nothing. Momentum comes from success, not ambition. If your resolutions have failed before, it is not because you are broken. It is because you are using the wrong system. Stop forcing change. Start designing it. Use tiny steps. Frame goals positively. Engineer your environment. Stack habits. Anchor goals to values. Create if-then plans. Focus on one thing at a time. You are not failing at self-improvement. You are learning how to work with your brain. That is how lasting change is built. You do not need a better version of yourself. You need a better system around the version you already are. Once the system works, confidence follows naturally. If this helped you rethink your goals, like the video and share it with someone who needs a fresh start. And tell me in the comments, which one of these 7 hacks are you starting with? If you want to go deeper with this kind of mindset work, subscribe and let me know in the comments which shift you are taking forward.